We are live streaming over on LinkedIn, I believe. All right, let's rock and roll. It is 12 o'clock Eastern time. So, welcome back, my friends. Welcome to day two. So, we're just going to dive literally right in. We're going to dive right in. Yesterday, you hopefully realized, I'd love for you to kind of share in the chat what you realized with your homework. But yesterday, you realized this isn't a visibility problem. It is a trust and a messaging problem, right? Premium buyers don't need convincing. They need what? They need resonance, right? LinkedIn isn't saturated. It's underutilized, right? This is the key to what we talked about yesterday, right? Now, general housekeeping, if you don't have your workbook, Amanda, I know she's juggling a lot this morning, but we'll get the workbook dropped in the chat if you don't have it. But also would just love to know in the chat your insights from your homework. Who did the scroll test yesterday and looked at your last 5 LinkedIn posts? And where did you realize you were a little bit off with your messaging or the employee lens? How many of you went to your profile and realized that your profile is maybe a little employee energy, pick me energy, right? And then homework assignment number 3 was that premium client mirror moment that we're going to get into even more today. But we started kicking off, we kind of closed out yesterday with starting to think about what our premium clients are thinking, but not saying out loud. That becomes the mirror moment, which is the key to where we're headed ultimately today, right? Okay, awesome. Not enough expertise. Don't think I'm as clear in my post as I need to be. Okay, we'll drop the link for the workbook. It's right above. Amanda's got it in there. Too much cheerleading. Yes, right? Too much cheerleading, rubbing people's back and keeping them stuck. How many of you found that maybe you were speaking more to scarcity than you thought? Maybe you were speaking more to lack than you thought or stuckness. I've got a case study I'm going to share with you today that'll demonstrate to you where you don't want to live there. And it makes a big, big impact. Do we have a template for your bio? What a great question. I'm going to answer a lot of questions at the end of today. I've got some time to really answer some of these questions that you guys are asking. But the short answer is yes. Inside the Hive, and I know we've got some Hive members here and even Queen's Chamber and Inner Circle members, but one of the specific modules that I have now has custom GPT coding that's based off of my premium client mirror messaging formula that actually allows you at light speed to produce a phenomenal high converting profile. Now, 2.0, so I'm going to come back to you, Heidi, because I see you here. The next major AI agent that I'm actually working on literally this weekend is literally to have a custom AI agent to go back and forth with you on your profile, leveraging what you're going to learn today around mirror messaging. It is, I don't know how to, those of you who've been in my world for nearly a decade know that I've been teaching and coaching premium buyer psychology for nearly a decade. And this is the first time in nearly a decade that where my students had to learn and hit play and apply and come for real-time feedback and wait for me. Literally now we have the technology within the stroke, couple of keystrokes to get this very precision feedback. And I'm just like, I did a story about it this morning. I'm like, what a great time to be alive, right? How many of you have been in my world for a while and actually came from the Lead Gen Academy? Like actually hit play on the modules, watched everything, came to the hot seats, iterated and worked, right? So AI has really taken it to a whole nother level. We'll talk more about that this afternoon, but great question. Yes, we have custom coding that, and this is important because, you know, I talked yesterday about the AI sludge and how we don't want to get into the feed and contribute to the problem, right? And so inside of our proprietary method and messaging, you're actually leveraging laser precision formulas for premium buyer psychology applied specifically to your business, which is what cuts through the noise, right? This is not just generic GPT, right? So more to come on that. Okay. All right. So with that, let's just do a quick reality check with kind of summing up yesterday, right? Trust is down, noise is up. right? Buyers are more selective than ever. And we talked about the peanut butter and jelly moment. When you compare premium messaging with a premium platform, we have a student you're going to hear from today, Rachel, who when she paired this together, she created her first 70K month, right? On the right platform with the right messaging. So this peanut butter and jelly moment is for everyone, right? No matter what your business is. And I hope that you understood that yesterday, that if your premium client has a job or is an entrepreneur or a business owner, you can get their attention on LinkedIn and pleasantly distract them more easily than any other platform because of the reduced noise in that platform and the trust on the platform, right? So we hit a lot on that yesterday. But what you also learned is that average messaging doesn't work anymore, right? Average messaging does not work anymore. Good content is no longer enough to convert, right? That's where precision messaging starts today, right? That's where we're headed today, right? So why your message hasn't been converting, okay? Just to, again, tie a bow in yesterday as we dive into precision messaging today, I want to ground us. I want to remind us. It's likely not your offer. I watch so many brilliant clients blow up their offers when it's their messaging. Okay. It's not your offer. It's not a consistency or a work ethic problem, right? And it's not your audience. Okay. Many of you have a network, right? Most people think it's a visibility problem or they think it's an effort problem. So they overwork themselves, creating more bland content, trying to cut through, right? But you're learning now, just in the first day, that it's not, right? And I want to underscore this. Like, my clients collectively are making millions with tiny audiences. How was I able to make $1 million in my first 18 months with less than 2,000 followers? It is not your offer. It is not a visibility problem. It is a messaging problem. If you give me, I could put you in front of 20,000 of the perfect people for your business right now. And if the messaging is off, you're not going to land them. Right? So that's where we're headed today, right? It's the landing of the message that cuts through the noise and activates your premium client. So if your content sounds good, but doesn't move people, that's what we're going to shift today with the audits that you all did on your work yesterday. Many of you realized, okay, my content sounds like anyone else in my industry. This is not making me a category of one. Laser precision messaging stops the scroll. It becomes your source code, right? Many of you are getting, somebody said, I'm doing the motivational stuff and people are like, that's good. I love this. But nobody's buying, right? We have to set our egos aside with virility and engagement, because just because you're engaging people or even potentially rubbing people's back and validating where they're stuck doesn't mean they're going to pay you, right? It doesn't mean they're going to pay you, right? And this is exactly where a lot of folks get stuck before they come into my world, right? So final recap piece here is that premium buyers don't respond to content. You're going to hear me talk about this over and over and over again. They respond to resonance, right? Many actually decide fast when they see the opportunity cost of inaction. And you can see my dyslexia playing out here with the T on the end of my slide, right? Okay. They don't need convincing. They don't need convincing, right? So the reality is, then your job in your messaging is to demonstrate, maybe you need to write this down, but it's how your unique genius, your unique category of oneness takes them from where they are today to their desired state through the friction, right? And how do you convey to them that you can move them through a portal from where they are to where they desire to be the fastest with the least amount of friction? Okay? The fastest with the least amount of friction. This is your job with messaging. If you want dreamy premium clients who are activated to get results and willing to pay for the results. Okay? So let's talk about Darla because I think this tees up what we're going to talk about today with mirror messaging really, really well. She is a case study that's one of thousands in my world that have followed suit with this exact same process. Some of you are sitting in here today and you have followed suit based off of my messaging, right? So let me show you what this actually looks like. Okay. Actually, I was just back and forth with Darla the other day. She is a client who found me the same way many of you have found me, right? She consumed a piece of free content that she downloaded. How many of you are here because you downloaded a free piece of content that, by the way, was of high value, speaking to a premium client, not low value, right? And we're going to talk about that tomorrow. Yes. Okay. Started with a free piece of content that, by the way, my signal, my source code, my messaging, even with a free piece of content, is speaking to a high level premium client. Low ticket and free do not mean low level. That is problem number one with your offer flow, if that is your mindset. Okay. We're going to talk more about that tomorrow. But let's go back to Darla. She started with something free that was a signal. It was a source code from me to her that activated her. Within 48 hours of the free piece of content, she paid $5,500 to work with me in a flagship messaging program. Now, no sales call, no back and forth, and no convincing. Okay. This is just one of a cajillion examples, right? But I want to walk you through how this works. And I want you to really hear this. And I'm using her as a case study because I want to show you how we attracted her, what shifts we made, and the results that she got. And it is a ripple effect of mirror messaging. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is open the doors to the full philosophy of mirror messaging. All right. Can you guys get behind that with me? Right. We're going to use a case study and apply it to the client, show you how it worked with me attracting her, show you how her application of the method attracted her dream clients, so you can see it in the real world before I talk theory, because otherwise I'm going to lose you if I jump right to theory. Okay. Make sense? Yeah. Okay. So I really want you to hear this. No sales call, no convincing. She jumped in frictionless. It wasn't luck. It was messaging. And here's the part that most people get wrong. Okay. She wasn't struggling. Okay. Remember, we talked about what is a premium client. Drop it in the chat. What is a premium client? It is a what? Mindset. It is a mindset. She was not struggling. She wasn't broke. She wasn't confused. She actually knew what she was capable of, and she knew the gap of the skill set she didn't have to get her to where she wanted to go next. Right? She wasn't sitting there thinking, somebody save me. Right? She wasn't sitting there looking for a life raft. Many of you are throwing life rafts out and wondering why you're getting cost objections. The messaging is vastly different. She was powerful. She was already successful. She owned a multi-million-dollar manufacturing business, and she knew she was actually ready for her next level in identity. Now, the thing I want to underscore with Darla is that she didn't need motivation. Some of you are telling me in the chat, I'm spending too much time motivating people, telling them they can do it. If you have to motivate them, they're probably not premium. Okay? She needed someone to help her translate her brilliance into a new arena. She was not looking for a life raft. She just didn't know how to position that online. She was looking to elevate her experience as a manufacturing business owner who was successful into, I want to start consulting and coaching other small business owners. I want to shift my identity. Is anybody else in that space right now? Are any of you kind of shifting your identity right now? Right? She's like, I'm good. I'm fucking smart. I'm established. I'm successful, but I'm shifting, right? And She didn't know how to position that online. And the moment my messaging reflected that to her, she moved. She I didn't market to her from a place of scarcity or lack. She was brilliant and is brilliant in many things. There's just this one piece of her life where she's learning a new skill. That is premium, right? She didn't want a massive overhaul, right? She wanted a refined experience with speed. Write this down, speed, right? Okay, speed. Okay, now she, I want you to think about this. When she invested, she didn't sit on it, she didn't think about it for 3 weeks, right? She recognized her potential in my messaging. Okay. She recognized her potential in my messaging. And I said this earlier, I'm going to say it multiple times. I and my process and my category of oneness was the portal to get her to where she wanted to go next with speed, frictionless. And she assessed, and we hit on this yesterday, she assessed the opportunity cost to stay where she was, and she dove in. And again, remember, opportunity cost. Your premium clients are looking at opportunity cost for staying where they are versus investing in you being the solution to whatever their desired state is, right? And when premium buyers, when they feel seen through your messaging, right? That's how fast they pay you. Your messaging is directly tied to how fast people pay you, not your credentials, right? Not how often you post, how clearly someone sees themselves in your words. I said this yesterday, right or wrong, it's not who's the best right now, right? It's not who's the best, right? It's how clearly someone can see themselves in your words and how you can get them to their end desired results, right? So this raises a bigger question. Why did this work so well? And somebody was asking, how recent was this? This is just one case study. We have brought in over 70 clients in the Queen's Chamber in the last couple of months with 0 sales calls at a 5-figure price point. We have over 35 clients in the inner circle at a $15,000 price point. Some of you are here today, 0 sales calls. Frictionless, right? Messaging matters because premium clients self-identify and they move forward and take action when you make the path simple for them, and it's undeniable, right? So why did this work so well? Why aren't most people outside my world creating this type of results? You're going to hear from Rachel today, who's getting these types of results, and she's going to talk to you about it, right? So let's break this down. Why she said yes so fast, okay? Why did she say yes so fast? Because most people would think, wow, she must have been really struggling if she just instantly paid you in 24, 48 hours. She must have really wanted you, she must have been struggling and in lack, right? But she wasn't. We've already talked about that. And this is what I want you to hear. This is what I want you to hear. She didn't buy from pain. I want you to write this down. She didn't buy from pain. Write this down. She bought from potential. She bought from potential. Okay. She already knew she was good. She already had success. She just needed someone who could help her step into this next level to help her translate her genius into the online space. And my messaging spoke to that version of her, right? She didn't feel like she was lacking. Write this down. She felt like she was expanding. She felt like she was expanding, right? And if you're marketing to lack instead of expansion, you're going to get those types of clients, right? There is a huge difference between I need help because I'm stuck and I'm ready for more. Is this landing for you all? Yes? Okay. And premium buyers live in expansion. My Queen's Chamber, my inner circle, my Hive students I see showing up in the chat right now, they live in expansion, right? They don't need to be fixed. Darla didn't need to be fixed. She needed to be positioned. She needed her brilliance translated into a space where it could actually be seen at scale. This is my zone of genius that I could teleport her to get those results. This is a reflection moment for you all when you think about where your current clients are and your signature genius. What is it that you do that teleports them to the desired state, right? That is reduces the friction point for them, right? Reduces the friction point, right? So I want you thinking about this because this is where most people miss it. People don't buy your freaking offers. They buy recognition, they buy resonance, they buy the moment where they feel like, you get me, you see where I'm trying to go, or you see what I'm trying to do, and you understand what I haven't been able to articulate, right? That's what creates movement. And if your content is only speaking to pain, you're missing the best buyers. And if your content is trying to teach everything, hello, my name is Melissa Henault. I am not speaking from an ivory tower. How many of you have seen me overteach like crazy, right? I am victim of this myself, right? But when we overteach, and I've had to learn to dial that back myself, you overwhelm. You overwhelm. Right? And your most premium clients don't want a huge overhaul. Okay? They don't want to feel like they have to rebuild the whole damn thing. They don't want to feel like they have to start all over. So the real question becomes, how do you actually do this? How do you create that moment of recognition in the feed on demand? And before I show you how, I want to show you something even more important, and this is specific to Darla before we get into the mirror messaging formula, because you're going to see it applied here. And that is how small shifts create massive results, which is classic. Darla came to me knowing she was already good. She just wanted to go to delusional. She knew that I could help her make small shifts and get macro results, right? And this is all around her own messaging, right? So she was getting massive results, so you're not losing sales, right? Okay, so let me show you. Let me show you. A few words. So this is a really great example for Darla. A few words changed everything. A few words changed and everything changed. Like I said, she didn't need a rebrand, just like many of you do not need a rebrand. You don't need an overhaul. She didn't need a rebuild. Right? She needed a new, she didn't need a new website. She didn't need a new offer. She didn't need to hone in on a new niche. Some of you are spinning in circles around this, right? And most premium buyers, again, they aren't looking for this massive overhaul. They're looking for those micro changes. So what she needed was a reframe. She simply needed a reframe. And this is where I want you to really see yourself in this with your clients. Your most dreamiest clients, when you think about those clients you love working with, right? It's pairing your expertise and years of experience with what problems they're up against that you can see from 30,000 level view and make suggestions that make macro changes for them, right? So she just needed a reframe. And this is where I want you, again, to see that you don't have a bad business and you don't have a bad offer. You're just not being seen for what you actually are, for the results you actually get your clients, because your messaging is off. So what we did with Darla was not complicated. We didn't change what she did. She came to me already with a concept. I want to consult. I want to actually mentor other business owners. I have years of experience, an 8-figure manufacturing company, and I want to consult and coach. She already had the genius. We didn't change what she did. We changed how it was being perceived and how she was being perceived, right? We took her from successful manufacturing business owner vibes, right, to high level transformative business consultant. And literally, with a couple of shifts in her headline and a couple of shifts in her profile and how she was positioning herself in the feed with premium buyer psychology, right? She got crazy results. And here's what I need all of you to hear. This is what I need all of you to hear. We stepped into this with her before she ever had her first client as a consultant. Because some of you are sitting here saying, well, Melissa, I'm pivoting and I'm doing something new. Darla's a great example. I talked about this yesterday. I really attract people who have the receipts to back up their genius. Some of you have very well-established businesses and you're just looking to dial in your messaging. But some of you are for the first time really stepping in and owning your genius. She had to step in her power as a consultant business expert before she had her first client. How many of you have been there? Right? And what do we need to do there? We have to step in with confidence and audacity because premium clients lean on your confidence. Because if we show up with a lack of confidence, that energy translates through the feed. Are you hearing me here? Right? So she had all the receipts to back up her experience. She needed to stand in her power with confidence and conviction. And suddenly, when we got laser focused on this, when we got totally, you're going to hear me talk a lot about this today. We got totally focused on what we call her source code, her premium client messaging, right? Her true north, her foundation of understanding and shifting to other small business owners as a marketer and how she was showing up in the feed, understanding and committing to other small business owners. Now she could go deep and drill into the micro-specific symptoms and the micro-specific desires of small business owners, which shifts the lens of the content she puts out. It shifts the lens of her headline. It shifts the lens of her profile, meeting her premium clients where they are with their symptoms and desires. And when we can get super clear on what I'm going to continue to call your source code, your true north with your premium client, everything downstream with positioning makes sense. Your content makes sense. Your profile makes sense. Your lead magnets make sense. Your web page makes sense. Right? And more importantly, she makes sense connecting to the new clients. Because when we started drilling into this, she closed two $10,000 clients in her first week. And in her first year of stepping in and owning being a consultant, she made nearly $500,000, right? Without, hear me say this, without a huge audience. Without a huge audience. And this didn't come from doing more. It came from saying it differently. Write this down. It doesn't come from doing more. It comes from saying it differently. And this is where most people are stuck. They think, I need to write more posts. I need to work harder. I need to show up more consistently. Bullshit. You're premium. We're looking for the fastest path. We're not here to be lazy, but we're here to be surgical and precision in what we do and not waste our time, not spin our wheels, right? Because when our messaging is slightly off, we don't just lose attention, we lose buyers. They scroll right past, right? Okay, so the real question becomes, what do you actually change and how do you know what to say, Melissa? I see some of you saying like, what do I say? How do I say it? What do I do? That's where we're going next, right? How do we create a response that Darla got? How do we create the results in 15 million in client results that we have today? How do we create these results, right? This is where mirror messaging comes in. This is where mirror messaging comes in. Okay. So we're going to talk about, and the other thing, not to go into a rabbit hole, but some of you, how many of you are in the coaching space? Okay. Some of you are in the coaching space, not all of you. Some of you are consulting. You're in all kinds of fractional work. Those of you in the coaching space, let me cast a vision to you. When your messaging is so dialed in to only your dreamiest of clients, guess what happens? It is an energetic match that becomes a self-fulfilling loop. And what I mean by that is when you attract people who are the perfect match for your zone of genius, what happens? They start getting the results. And when they start getting the results, it's an energetic loop of you being excited and them being excited. Does this resonate for some of you? Because some of you have been attracting and marketing to lack, to scarcity, and you're bringing in the wrong clients. And then they're not getting the results. And then you're questioning yourself versus finding the Darlas in the world who show up, do the work, are the perfect match, and get the freaking results. Then you're on cloud nine because of the confidence. Does this make sense? Right? Okay. So you don't need a new strategy, right? You just need a new lens. So now that you've seen what this looks like in action, let's actually break it down. Okay. What's really happening underneath? This is what I call mirror messaging. Okay. And this is the foundation to literally everything. And when I say everything, I don't just mean LinkedIn posts. So some of my clients can maybe attest to this in the chat. This is your source code. When you get your mirror messaging dialed in these 4 categories that we're about to talk about, this source code becomes your signal. This signal is a magnet that attracts. When it's dialed in, it impacts your emails, it impacts your newsletters, it impacts your website, it impacts your lead magnets. And when you are 10 degrees off going for the moon, where do you land? Not the moon, right? When you are dialed in, you start to magnetize like crazy, right? I have guest speakers come into my community and they constantly say, your clients are so high level and premium. Like, how do you do that? Right? And I'm like, it's my messaging, right? It's my messaging, right? Who we attract. It's my signal. It is your source code, right, Scott? Yes. Your mirror messaging is your source code. And you'll see why in just a bit. Okay. So this is why I was able to build $1 million a year business with a tiny audience. This is why I've been able to pivot in real time in a trust recession, in a noisy market amongst all the feed, right? And still generate millions in my pipeline because of this source code, right? Because of the source code. So where are you seeing mirror messaging, right? And I'm gonna walk through these different areas of mirror messaging, and you're gonna assess and you're gonna apply it to your business today, right? Now, mirror messaging is not saying something clever, okay? And it's not about sounding smart. And by the way, it's not being manipulative, okay? Mirror messaging is about, I'm gonna say it again and again and again. It's about resonance. It's not about manipulation. It's about actually calling forward and being a mirror to your premium client so that they feel seen and they feel understood and they assume that you're the only solution, right? And this is so, so important that we get this source signal code dialed in. So it's the ability to speak to the thoughts they're already thinking, okay? The frustrations they're already feeling. The reality is a lot of these bro marketers love the bros, but done with their marketing, right? They're calling out the problem, right? But they're not speaking to the emotional connection of it. And that's what we're going to get into today, right? It's the thoughts that they're thinking but would never say out loud. It's the frustrations, the desires that they would never say out loud. Right. And I'll give you an example, actually. I'll give you an example. And this kind of ties into the other 2 parts of the mirror messaging, which is not only desire, but we're going to talk about identity and we're going to talk about the premium lens, right? And identity, where we're going to go in a bit, is what we associate ourselves as premium by clients. Okay. Any of you in the energetic space, do you do energetic or mindset work? Who does that? I'm curious. Anybody do energetic? Okay. So you'll love this, right? Here I was fresh out of corporate, riding the rocket ship. I left corporate because I was burned out and I was already was not seeing my children the way I wanted to. I wasn't taking care of myself the way I wanted to. I wasn't spending time with my husband. I thought entrepreneurship was going to be like the answer to my problems, right? It's actually just an amplifier, right? So a year in, I find out that I am just a hugely performative human who's focused on my business is my safety code. This is not a therapy session, but the bottom line is I fell right back into the same cycles, but now a big business and millions of dollars to manage and massive overwhelm. And I'll never forget being in a room with this energetics mentor where I said out loud that I, in a sacred, safe space, was actually scared of any more success. Now, it's hard to say that to the public because to the public would judge, oh, you're making millions, boo hoo, you to be scared for more success, right? But this was my true reality. From my premium lens, I was afraid to take on more because I was afraid I would just continue backwards into the life that I lived in corporate and be extremely burned out all over again. I was afraid of the success. Does this make sense? Okay. And when I said that out loud, if you are not a premium energetics worker, you could have rubbed my back and made me feel safe and okay feeling that way. Does this land for some of you? Okay. But what this person did, Preston smiles, I love you. He looked me directly in the eye because I said, I am afraid. These were my words. I am afraid to climb the next mountain. I'm afraid to climb the next mountain because I'm afraid of what it may do to my life, my relationships, my health. This is the premium lens of identity. He looked at me and called me forward and he said, bitch, you're already on the top of that mountain. This is the power and the positioning of calling me forward. And then he went on to say, you won't let that happen again. And he called me forward, talking about the lessons in the spiral upward of the life journey. I won't go all the way into it, but my point here in all of this, with where we're going with mirror messaging, is that he did not rub my back and keep me stuck. He pushed me forward to what he knew I was capable of. He called me forward to my future identity, and I wired him $40,000 in 24 hours to work with him for 6 months. Okay. This is the premium lens of one of four that we're going to get into when it comes to your energy and how you are showing up and who you truly want to work with. Are you calling them forward? Can they see you? Do you have the signal and the source code out for the identity match? Or are you rubbing the back of the stuck people that are never going to transact and wire you the money you desire for what you are worth for the transformation and the results that you give? Yes? Is this making sense? We need to reflect who our audience is becoming, right? From a premium lens. And we're going to break all this down. Don't worry. Okay. I just wanted to give you a real world example because I know some of you are like, Melissa, these are all business examples. This doesn't apply to my business. It does. The formula applies no matter what you do. It is a 4-part formula: symptom recognition, desire anchoring, identity activation, and the premium lens. Okay. This is what we're talking about. So here's where most people are getting this wrong. They're not completely off. They're just incomplete, right? They're hitting one of these 4 that we're going to talk about. And when that happens, your content sounds good, but it doesn't land, right? And many will talk about one of these 4, but you don't take it to the next step of the actual emotional connection to it and exactly how it's showing up. You're just calling it out, which is not closing the premium client. Okay. So what happens when we dial this in, right? We're going to talk about this framework. So this is the framework I innately have used for nearly a decade and ultimately created my own formula and IP around it called the mirror messaging framework. When I was magnetizing and attracting and building a phenomenal book of business of premium humans, I began to reflect on what is my zone of genius? How do I do this? What is the methodology? And then how can I teach it and translate it for my clients in any business? And this was the birth, the mirror messaging framework. This is it. Everything underneath it, right? Everything that converts are these 4 areas. Number 1 is symptom recognition. Okay. This is where you speak to what they are feeling right now with friction points. Okay. This is symptom recognition, but in many scenarios, they don't fully know how to articulate it, or they would never say it out loud. And this is where we want to get inside of their head and call out the emotional friction. Now, here's where the bro marketers get it wrong. Many folks are coached outside my world, A, to live here. Okay. You're living here, which we've learned attracts lack and scarcity. We can't live here, but we do need to recognize it. And from a bro marketing perspective, they tend to just call it out and name the problem, like you're not getting sales, versus actually the symptom of how it feels and shows up for your premium client. So instead of me saying you're not getting sales, I go a whole nother level and talk about how successful you were in your previous career and how well-known and established you were and what a genius you are. And for the first time in a really long time, you're really questioning yourself because your offers aren't selling. Right? This is a completely different connection emotionally than saying you're not getting sales, right? Make sense? Okay. So desire anchoring, this is where you speak to what they actually want, but haven't fully claimed. They're secretly not saying out loud. These are their quiet desires to be recognized online when they walk in the room like they did in the boardroom. Right? That's my example for you. That's a feeling. It's not just you want to be successful, right? Maybe you want a sense of safety when you wake up in the morning and you check Stripe and your recurring revenue is above the cost of running your business. Not only is it above the cost of running your business, you've got a profit margin of 40 or 50%. And for the first time in a really long time, you're feeling really safe in your body. You're not regretting the move that you made, right? This is a massive difference from a desire anchoring perspective. Does this make sense? Yes? Okay. Now, that's the desire anchoring. How many of you feel more connected to that, right? It's like, oh, yes, I have felt that way. No longer waking up at 3 a.m., wondering if you're going to be able to make payroll, right? Now, let's get into identity activation, right? And this is the one that's most missed. And so I'll take you back to Preston, my example a minute ago. Preston, the energetics coach, really moved me through identity activation. This is the most missed, where you want to reflect who they are becoming, because premium clients are doing really well in a lot of areas of their life, and they have an ego. And so they're showing up really well in a lot of areas of their life, but this one area that's the gap, you are the solution to. And if there's one place there may be a little bit of doubt, that is it. And in this one place where there's a little bit of doubt, they need your confidence, because they are a confident human being day in and day out. They need your confidence that you can get them through and you see their potential. You see the results that they can get. Does this make sense? And this is exactly what Preston did for me when he called me out that I was already here, that I already had earned the stripes and the skills that were going to take me to the next level. I needed his confidence, but I needed his confidence to rebuild my confidence of what I was capable of. Is this making sense? Yes? This is the nod to the ego for your premium buyer, right? Remember, they want to go from great to delusional. They don't want their back rubbed, right? And this is what ties it all together, is that premium lens. Who remembers what the premium lens is, right? This is where you frame everything through speed, through ease, and through elevation. If you're selling people on a full overhaul and the 12,000 thing formula process step that you're going to do to implement, to integrate, to drive solution, they don't want it. It has to feel like the fastest path to the next step. Is this making sense? Yes? And this is not about premium buyers being lazy. It's actually the opposite. They're smart and efficient, and they're looking and willing to pay for the fastest path to the solution, right? So it's not effort, right? They don't want this full overhaul. They want micro shifts for macro results. And when you layer these three together, right, your content stops being educational and it starts becoming activating. And that's when this happens, right? This is what happens is people don't wait for the pitch. They don't need convincing. Like my inner circle clients here, who every single one of them joined my $15,000 program without a sales call. None of them took a call with me, right? They actually lean in and say, I'm ready. right? They ask, how can I work with you? My one-on-one client that I just picked up, she reached out to me. How can I work with you? I've booked 3 VIP days this month. I did not take a call for it. They literally booked it. $5,000 intensive, right? Okay. And this is happening right now, monthly in my business, right? And we have clients who are doing the same thing, right? And you're going to hear from Rachel today about this, right? Now, I'm not going to break down all 4 because that would take forever. I'm going to go through number 1 here next. We're going to talk about symptom recognition because this is probably the one most of you are spending too much time in the wrong way, right? We're going to do a deep dive on that, and we'll actually even use Darla as the example. And once you see it, you will not be able to unsee it. You will not be able to unsee it. Okay. So let's go to symptom recognition. Okay. So let's go back to Darla for a half a second, because now we're going to zoom back out. Now that we know, okay, we know there's 4 areas of mirror messaging: symptom recognition, desire anchoring, identity activation, and premium lens. Now, here's a funny thing. This is foreshadowing for all of you, because some of you are probably like, whoo, Melissa, this feels like a lot of work because you're a premium and you're looking for the fastest path to results. And you're like, now you're telling me I need to know these 4 categories in order to magnetize. Let me foreshadow for you that something that we are rolling out today makes your content move faster than ever possible before with laser precision when you talk about premium messaging and getting to the results. So I'm just going to foreshadow that because like my mind is blown. I was demoing it this morning with how fast it moves. So with that, let's go back to Darla, because now on the exact mirror messaging that made her move, as I'm looking at myself in the mirror here, right? With the 1 of 4 areas, symptom recognition, as I walk you through this, I want you thinking about the I don't want you thinking about like the structure. I want you thinking more. Yeah, I do. I want you thinking about the architecture of how the messaging magnetizes. Okay. Because I know you want specifics, right? This is like learning how to drive, right? The first time you got in a car and you had to know where all the knobs were, because I know some of you are looking at this. How many of you I reviewed this and it's the first time you've heard it and you're like, oh my gosh, this is a lot of layers, right? It's like the first time you sit in a car and you learn how to drive and you're overwhelmed as a 16-year-old, right? And then do you remember the last time you were in a car? You just teleported, right? You just got in, you put it in reverse and you drove somewhere. You don't even remember how you got there, right? This is how mirror messaging becomes once it becomes habit, once it becomes instinctual. Okay. So for those of you, and with this new expert 24-hour copy resource that we're going to talk about in a bit, it's never been easier. Okay. Now, so as I walk you through this, I want you thinking about the architecture, right? Of how we activated and moved Darla forward. So she consumed a piece of content. 48 hours later, she invested $5,500, and then she actually continued to ascend. She moved into my $30,000 mastermind, all within 2 months, right? So the question is, why did this work? Because I didn't speak to the problem. I spoke to the symptom of the problem. And what I want you to think about and reflect on here today is not just, and share with me in the chat, what is not just the problem, not just the symptom of the problem that you solve, but I want you to really think right here, right now in this moment, how is that symptom actually showing up for the client that you want to attract into your business? Share with me in the chat how it is actually showing up for them emotionally when they're in this place of friction that you are the result to. Okay, Karen says foggy mind, pain in the body, right? How is this showing up for them emotionally? This is very different than you have a hormone imbalance, right? That's calling out the problem and not actually emotionally connecting to how the symptom is showing up for them. Embarrassed that their resume is out of date. Yes. Okay. Now go beyond fear. How does the fear show up? Right? So when I talked about my premium client, I didn't just say fear of no sales. I said, you wake up at 3 a.m. wondering how you're going to make payroll this month. You're wondering how the value that you got in the paycheck you received in corporate was so big, and now it's not translating into the space in the online space. And you're questioning your nervous system. You feel unsafe. There's a difference in just saying fear and articulating how the fear is showing up. Does this make sense? And when you can articulate how the emotion is showing up for them instead of just even naming it, you become and build your source code. You build your source code. Okay. That is your signal, right? So I spoke to the symptom of the problem. And again, many of you are even speaking to the cause. You're diagnosing it. So like I used a hormone imbalance as a great example. If you're one that works with women in menopause, you're overeducating about her hormones. She doesn't give a shit about her hormones. She cares about you solving how it's showing up as hot flashes in the middle of the day, in the middle of a presentation, right? You have to get into how it's showing up for her. If you overeducate her, you bore her. You don't activate her, right? Okay. Now, I didn't use my words to activate Darla. I used her words. Many of you are showing up with your own technical clinical words. Even if you're an AI, how many of you are AI experts, like building custom AI agents for people, right? Yeah. Okay, Jane. I work with a lot of technical people too. And you're talking to the solution instead of how it's showing up for them emotionally, right? And so another really great example of this symptomatically for the tech people is instead of selling me the features and the benefits of the AI agents, we need to talk about the stress of the overhead and the complexity of my team and the lack of actual repetitive actions in the company that are redundancies, right? And we start talking about income leaks and overhead. And so we have to think about how it shows up for the purchaser, right? Not how you are the expert. Okay. How it shows up for Jane, right? It's like, imagine you wake up in the morning and you spend 30 minutes with Claude and you get your agents up and running. And in the first 30 minutes, you have a team of 20 that are digital, that are smarter than the most recent Harvard hires, executing on your business. And you've just cut off $500,000 a year in overhead. And the output and the results are 10 times better than anything you did with a large, heavy staff. See, Jane, that's the difference in how we articulate how it's showing up for the owner than getting into the features and the benefits of Claude and skills and how you can right? It's like you need to get to the output and how it impacts me, right? As a founder and a creator, I want to know that I can take idea to output in 20 minutes flat with what used to take me 30 days with a copywriter, graphic designer, web, and so now the decision fatigue is removed. The execution happens faster. So you see where I'm going with this, guys? I can do this with any of you in any industry. Many of you are thinking about your technical expertise instead of how the problem is showing up for your client and casting vision of the desired state in the future with you being the result, right? So when we speak to them, like I did with Darla, emotionally, she felt visible. She wasn't thinking, so let me bring it back to my world, right? Darla wasn't thinking, I need a traffic strategy, right? Those were not her words. Those are my technical words, right? She was second guessing herself in the online space, even though she was brilliant, right? And I called her out on that, right? She was watching people less experienced land clients faster than her, even though she was an 8-figure founder. And it was creating doubt for her. And I spoke to that in the feed. And it stopped her scroll, right? Now, not from a place of lack, not from a place of scarcity, but a place of calling her forward to what she was capable of, right? Most people would say, you're stuck. You're not getting the leads, right? And that's not going to resonate. But what actually lands is when you feel. So what actually lands is, here's an example of how I spoke to Darla, right? So tell me how this feels, right? You feel invisible and you start questioning yourself, even though you know you're good, right? This is emotionally how it is showing up for her. Now, the key The key is not to live there. I've already shared this with you all, but the key is we don't live here. We stop the scroll. We create the mirror of like, shit, I would never say that out loud, but that's exactly how I'm feeling. Now I'm going to hockey puck from the symptom to some content that speaks to the desire anchoring and what she's actually capable of. Call in her genius, right? It is the architecture of how you speak. This is not manipulation. This is you being an expert, category of one, at activating and having a source code signal that lets people know you are the solution, right? So I didn't speak to the problem. I spoke to how the symptom is showing up. Now continue. Let me know, now that I've given you guys some examples, how are the symptoms showing up for your clients? How are the symptoms showing up for your clients? Many of you are too vague. Many of you are too broad, right? You're being surface level and general, right? I see Jane, so I'm just going to go back to you. I see a lot of folks in the AI space, again, sharing features and benefits, but what stops the scroll is like, even you could speak to the overwhelm of the founder who feels behind, right? Like I look at founders in their 30s versus founders in their mid 40s, and I had this established online business before they even got started, right? And I'm actually having to overhaul my business to integrate all of this AI, which you guys are going to see today, right? And so it's like speaking to that anxiety, but also excitement, because remember, Jane, I'm not operating from lack. My students will tell you the sheer excitement that I have for learning this technology in order to move them faster to their results, right? You have to be in my mind as a founder as to how the work you do creates transformation, not just the work you do, right? Okay, is this landing for you all? Right? Darla wouldn't say, I need a traffic strategy, right? She wouldn't do that, right? We have to speak to who they're becoming. We have to speak to who they're becoming. Okay. Now, and the reality is many of you, it's not because you're going deep enough, right? You're not going deep enough. So continue to let us know in the chat. Good, good, good. So you guys are liking this. It's landing. Okay, cool. All right. Now, let's make this even more real. So let's use you as an example, right? This is what most coaches would say, right? You're not getting clients and you need a better strategy, right? You're not getting clients and you need a better strategy, right? That's generic, right? So in my world, in my business, right, I'm going to speak more specific. So let me give you another, I'm going to give you this as an example because this is going to be part of your homework tonight, right? Instead of saying, you're not getting the clients, you need a better strategy, right? Thanks, Captain Obvious, right? I say, you spend weeks creating a brand new offer and you're so excited to drop it. You know it's going to change people's lives. It is an absolute no-brainer. And you just know in your soul that it's going to sell like hotcakes. And you release it. You drop it in the feed. You put it out to your email list and you get crickets, and no one's engaging. No one's buying. And now you're second guessing everything and you're genius. And the reality is you are a goddamn genius, right? It is your messaging. So do you see the pivot in that? Do you see how we connect emotionally? I'm not saying you have a sales problem, you have a traffic problem, right? That's what everybody is saying in my industry. I'm speaking to the emotional resonance, right? We have to feel the difference. This is the mirror moment. You've got me twice in a mirror here now, right? This is why I named it the mirror messaging. Because when someone feels that, you don't have to chase them. They come to you, right? This is what most of you are missing. You're not going this level deep. It's not that your content is bad. It's that it's not precise. It's not precise. Okay. Now, we've covered layer one in mirror messaging. Now, some of you let me give you, who wants another example outside of business? Let me get back into the coaching space. Do you guys want another example from a mirror messaging perspective? So, because I know some of you are like, this doesn't apply to me, right? So let me, it's universal, right? This has nothing to do with industry. It has everything to do with how premium buyers make decisions. Bottom line. So let me show you this in a completely different space. Anybody in the relationship space? Maybe you're a therapist. So this was some feedback from someone inside our Hive community who's a dating expert and helping people match their person, right? So most experts sound like this, right? As a matter of fact, this was in her content before I gave her feedback. Okay. She called out the problem, right? She said, you need to expand your nervous system's capacity to receive love. Okay. Is that technical? Yes. Jane says yes. Would her client actually say that's how she's experiencing it? Would she say, you know, I need to regulate my nervous system to receive love? Think about this, guys. You're all doing it. Okay. Some of you are laughing, but in your industry, you're doing the same damn thing, right? Because we get so in our genius that we talk about it from our genius lens, right? Now, what I rewrote for her and what Mira can do here in the future that you guys will see is technically it was correct, but it's not emotionally, it's emotionally irrelevant. Now listen to this instead, okay? Dating isn't the problem, okay? It's that you've been given tools for attraction, but when love actually gets close, it doesn't feel safe. How does that land? Is that more emotionally connected than the nervous system incapacity to receive love? It's a gut punch. Was that a mirror moment, friends? Was it a mirror moment? Does it stop the scroll? Do you think they just felt seen? Right? And this is where a lot of you are losing people because you're trying to sound like an expert employee, pick me energy. Look what I know. Look at all the things I know. Look at all the work you need to do. And they don't, and you're repelling, right? When you need to lead with the emotional connection. You need to lead with the emotional connection. And this is exactly what I've coded in my mirror messaging system that our clients are customizing in their own individual businesses right now, right? And I've created a new tool for it, and you're going to hear about it in a couple minutes. So we'll get to that in a bit. So you now can see this isn't about your industry. It's about how deeply you understand your buyer. Am I right? Can we all agree on that? How deeply we understand our buyer, right? So what we just talked about, that's part one of the equation. And honestly, most of you aren't even fully fleshing that out. How many of you are like, oh, I've got work to do just with symptoms. I haven't even gotten to desire. How many of you are like, yep, I don't want to overwhelm you. You are premium human beings. I don't want to give you like a rabbit hole of all four today. We're just going to talk about symptoms because if we can focus on that, everything downstream will be easier, right? Even if you are nailing symptoms, I remind you and ground you, there's the other three: desire, identity, right? Desire, most of you talk about what your client wants, but it's not emotionally resonant, just like the symptoms. And you say things like, you want freedom, you want more money, or you want to feel confident. Does that sound like everyone in your industry? Yes. It doesn't cut, right? Premium buyers, they have micro-specific desires to how you're going to solve their problems, the kind that they wouldn't say out loud. Identity, right? This is the one almost no one is doing because you're timid to do it because some of you are newer in your work and you're not standing in your power and calling forward with confidence and audacity. Just like think about Darla. She'd never consulted with a single client and in 1 year made nearly $500,000. Why? She had the audacity to own and speak from an identity lens and a premium lens even before she landed her first clients, right? You have to speak to where they are headed and what they are capable of, not where they are, right? We can't speak to the stuckness. And that premium lens, again, is that speed, right? The premium lens, this is where your content starts to feel, many of you, like work instead of speed and precision. It sounds heavy. It sounds complicated, right? But premium buyers are looking for the cleanest and fastest and most aligned path forward. Right? So you might hit one of the four, maybe two, but you're likely who's not layering these four together? Who's not layering these four together? Okay. Right. And if we're not layering the four together, we don't convert at delusional speed. You don't close 37 clients at a 15K price point without a sales call. You don't close a brand new offer in the Queen's Chamber with over 70 clients in it at a $3,000 price point without a single sales call. Like, are the clients you're going to hear from and the ones that you're seeing without sales calls? Now, some of you have to take sales calls. I don't know. I saw Scott earlier. He takes millions of people's money and transacts them as a financial advisor. It's going to take a sales call for that. Heidi does luxury travel. Like, she's going to take a sales call for that, right? And some of you are doing massive consultant gigs. We've got Jeffrey who did a 100K contract as a sales consultant. Like, you're going to have to take a sales call, but I can guarantee you it comes a hell of a lot faster when you can speak to them through these lenses in your content. They end up in your DMs asking for a call instead of you chasing. Yes? Okay. So when you get these four right, your content changes, your profile changes, your emails change, your entire freaking ecosystem changes, and your signal and source code become a magnet. They become a source code. This is the foundation, my friends, to everything. We teach this in the magnetic demand method, which you're going to hear about in a little bit, but it is the foundation source code signal for my Queen's Chamber clients and my inner circle clients. How many of you to this day pull back on your premium client mirror messaging document as your source code, your signal? Right? If you're working with custom AI, building this source code, building this signal is massively important to knowing and owning the micro specificity of your desired client, right? And for some of you today, we're going to build it for you. Like, we're going to custom build this for you, right? Depending on those of you who decide to jump in with us. Okay. So now, what do I have next? You can't fix this by guessing, right? You can't fix this by guessing. So this is where most people stay stuck, right? Because you're going to sit down and you're going to write a post. You're going to think about what sounds good. It's going to feel valuable and it might land, right? And you're going to hit publish. And then tomorrow you're going to try to do it all over again, right? Same post, maybe a different angle, like new post, right? And that's not a strategy. It's actually guessing. Believe it or not, I create my content for an entire month in 2 hours flat every single month, because the first thing I did was nail my precision messaging with what we call in my community your mirror messaging premium client document, because I slowed down and my clients slowed down and we create a very comprehensive debrief on the 4 areas of messaging that activate premium clients. And for those of you who are AI savvy, you're then able to leverage that daily within your choice AI, whether you use Claude or whatever you use, right? Those of you who aren't as AI savvy, you're going to see in a minute, we have a custom AI agent within the community that gives you direct instant feedback on the work that you're doing, right? So this is not intuition, right? This is big boys and girls pulling up their panties and owning their business as a strategic marketer and business owner. We're not just throwing content out in the feed and hoping that it lands. It is precision, knowing exactly who you're speaking to, what they are thinking, how it shows up for them, and what actually moves them before you ever write the content, right? Okay. So this is where I want to give you an example of when we talk about the premium client mirror messaging document. I'm going to give you an example in just a second, but let me show you what this actually looks like when you build and own your source code, your signal. Let me show you what this actually looks like. So Louise is another great example. She was a corporate marketer out of Canada, making about $90,000 a year. Brilliant, but invisible online. Okay. Common theme, right? When she stepped into her business and wanted to own it, she was sounding generic. She was sounding safe, and she knew it. She was a freaking marketer. Can anybody else in the marketing space, and you're here today learning from me? She was like, I felt like a cobbler with no shoes. Anybody feel that way? Right? She's like, I can sell everybody else's stuff for them, but I can't for me. Like, she would tell us that, right? And she knew it. We didn't tell her to post more. We didn't tell her to be more consistent, right? But she went from How can I help any business market? And this is where the premium client mirror messaging document becomes so powerful and becomes rocket fuel. We got clear with, she committed to heart-centered banking institutions in Canada. Now, why is this important for some of you? Because you're all over the place and you're like, well, I can serve anyone. Well, the problem with serving anyone is you can't get into the micro specificities of what's showing up for them when you serve anyone. When you commit, like she did, to banking institutions in Canada, now do you think she's clear on how their problems show up for them and what their desires are? Versus, well, I could be a marketer for any kind of company. Now we can get specific, we can get clear, and she's not for everyone, right? Now she knows the real symptoms, how things are showing up for them. And I'm here to tell you, when she drilled into that and we built her premium messaging, she went from making $90,000 in corporate to nearly $400,000 in her first year as a consultant gigging for other banking institutions. Prior to having the laser precision messaging, it wasn't landing with anyone. Why? Because she was speaking in general terms. She was speaking in general terms. My friends, this is about precision. This is about precision. And a little bit later today, when we go to Q&A, I'll actually show you what this source document even looks like that our clients are building inside with the magnetic demand method. This source code, this is the premium client mirror messaging document. Louise didn't figure this out by posting. She didn't hope her message got better, right? She built precision messaging once. And now, more than ever, with the power of AI, we can build this source code once and build over and over and over again with copious amounts of high converting content because of it, right? And this right here, the premium client mirror messaging document that we build inside the magnetic demand method now makes this process more precision, more executable. Once you get dialed in and you can have a comprehensive library of 15 ways that it shows up for your client emotionally, with desire, with symptom, now you have a source code. Follow me on this for a second. You now have a source code to lean on with everything that you do. Does this make sense? From a lead magnet, email, social media, everything that you do, landing pages, you have a source code that makes your messaging laser precision and consistent, right? You're no longer guessing, right? You're pulling from precision, okay? Your posts start to flow effortlessly into conversations in the DMs, right? You're no longer convincing people. They're actually coming to you. And this is when people start asking, hey, how can I work with you? Right? And this is only one phase, okay? This is only one phase of the magnetic demand method, precision messaging. Phase 2 and phase 3 are around feed activation. Tomorrow, we are going to get into feed activation. And the third phase in the magnetic demand is daily demand, which is actually, who would love an actual funnel that was automatic and printed premium clients without any additional cost, leveraging LinkedIn? Who would like a LinkedIn funnel that was just bringing clients into your inbox? Yes? Okay. That is what we call daily demand. Okay. But I ground you all when our signal and our source code at the top aren't dialed in, everything I teach you below will not be as amplified. Does this make sense? But when we slow down and we spend time creating this source code in phase 1 of the magnetic demand method, which is that premium client mirror messaging document, that source code feeds everything downstream and begins to create daily clients on repeat, right? We build demand in that final phase. Okay. Now that brings me to the magnetic demand method. What I just walked you through was not random. We talked through messaging, which is phase 1 of the magnetic demand method. Specifically, I talked a little bit about symptoms within the four categories of mirror messaging, right? This is the system that's driven over 15 million in client results, 12 million in my own results, right? And in that phase 1, we build that source code, right? Even my 7-figure one-on-one clients, we refine this because it impacts everything downstream, your signal, right? And in phase two, we activate it on the right platform, which is LinkedIn. This is your top of funnel traffic generator. This is where you drive the traffic with premium leads. And in phase three, we turn that into a demand engine that is printing clients. This is how you go from posting to closing, right? And this is the system that closes the loop on premium lead generation. We're going to talk about that loop tomorrow, that like authority loop, literally a funnel completely, right? Without working harder, actually probably working less. Okay. Now, the magnetic demand method isn't a program. Okay. Let me be really, really clear. This is a system behind how premium demand actually works. Okay. What I've been teaching you, this is where this lives, fully built out. This is how you stop being overlooked. It's how your messaging actually lands and how clients actually find you, right? This is the signature intellectual property that you get lifetime access to if you choose to join us this week, right? This takes you from showing up to demand that is compounding, right? So inside, we're installing that mirror messaging, that 4-layer framework, and then you are hooking it up to the lead gen method. We are going to talk through the lead gen method tomorrow in our final day of the masterclass and talk about how that lead gen method creates and builds the funnel that actually prints clients for you, right? And then we get into offer flow so people can naturally find your offers, right? So the magnetic demand is a system that makes everything connect. And this, my friends, is what I am so freaking excited about. This is the unfair advantage, okay? This has never been released before. We literally are dropping it today. I know my Hive members who are sitting here are literally like, what the hell? I didn't know this was available. It wasn't until today. Okay. The thing I want to underscore before I even share this, I think this is really important. And this is really a proud moment for me. We've created over 15 million in client results without AI. Our clients have learned our methodologies and done the reps and come in with hot seats and gotten feedback without AI. But what I have done over the past, I have taken my intellectual property and I have built a custom AI resource named Mira. I'll get to her in a minute, that supports you in your mirror messaging. But not only do you have Mira, who I'll get to in a minute, but we have custom AI prompts for those of you who are even more technical like Jane. Jane may want the intellectual property embedded into their custom AI. They don't want to work on an external bot, right? And this is what I love about where we're headed. I have created 2 interfaces. One that is direct coaching with Mira to get instant feedback on your content, right? Or 2, we already have, and my students can attest to this, we already have the custom GPT formulas and codes and prompts for you that you can embed into your own software, like into your own AI, if that's the route you want to go. And you'll find that inside the magnetic demand method, right? For those of you who are more technically savvy and you want to own the IP inside your system instead of interacting with us, like I love that for you, right? So this is the unfair advantage where my clients have historically taken a couple of months to learn and come into hot seats and get feedback. Literally, they have me in their back pocket 24 hours a day. Her name is Mira, and she's my brain, and she's AI powered, and she's inside the Hive for the first time ever. So for some of you whose brain is like blown on how to apply mirror messaging, this is my intellectual property, my eyes on your content 24 hours a day as you're working through the work to refine symptom and desire and identity and premium lens, to tell you exactly what's landing and what's not, how to refine it. And actually, I give you suggestions on better versions of it. Those of you who've been in my world for a while would have to wait and sit for a hot seat for this. The speed at which those of you that dive in are going to move at a trajectory that took my clients previously, took them time, but they still have made millions. My mind is blown. Like I hope you can feel the excitement that I have where you get me in your pocket at midnight before you hit publish. You don't have to wait for the hot seat, right? Mira is what happens when my brain meets AI. And she's trained exclusively on my Mira messaging internally within Circle. Okay. Our Hive community, you can access her now in the DMs, by the way. You can play with her. I may do a demo in a little bit after we get, I know we've got to get to Rachel here in a second. So Mira comes inside the Hive. Okay. Mira comes inside the Hive. And if you're new to me, you don't even know what the Hive is. Okay. The Hive is a live coaching community. And when you purchase the magnetic demand method, you get lifetime access to it. When you purchase the magnetic demand method, I am gifting you 3 months inside the Hive where you get access to Mira and you get to interact with a live community where we have live hot seats and live coaching with me. You get hot seat coaching with my integrator who's been with me since day one of scaling this business. If I have any Hive members here, they could probably speak to it. Yes, Heidi, Queen's Chamber members, you guys have access to the Hive. You all have access to it. More information to come out. You see it? Yay! Play with it. So you're going to get my gift to you for investing in the magnetic demand method this week it's $500, guys. Like skip a couple door dashes. It's not going to change your financial future, but it could change your future. It's $500 to invest for lifetime access to the magnetic demand method and get instant access to Mira and get 3 months access to my community where you're going to get live coaching with me, right? Now, I want to layer on something really fun. For those of you who move fast and invest in the magnetic demand method, the first 20 of you, I can't do this for everybody because it's intensive. We're going to build your premium client document for you. We're going to build it for you, right? So what that may look like, let me give you an example. Kayla, I saw you on the line. I'm going to show them. Here is Kayla's brand voice document. If you want to see how comprehensive your source code can get, here's her client problems, micro pain points, the depths of how it shows up, how they think. Those of you that are in the weeds of AI, you're drooling right now. Like you're drooling. Those of you who are not in the weeds of AI, this may feel a little bit overwhelming, but the output with the content that you write, when you get what I call this source code, which is our mirror messaging formula applied to your business so that we can extract exactly how to activate and pull forward your client at light speed through proven process that I've done for nearly a decade, right? Now we're going to do it for you. This is your source code. We build for the first 20 of you that join us. We're going to build that for you custom. Okay. But don't worry, the rest of you it is in literally the first phase of the magnetic demand method. We teach you exactly how to do the output yourself. And once it's your source code and you learn how to do it, as you evolve in your business, you can create new versions of it, right? So the first 20 of you, and maybe Amanda, you can drop the link for the magnetic demand in the chat. Those of you who are VIP, I know we have our Q&A this afternoon, hot seats. You actually get to apply your $47 to the magnetic demand. So you have a custom link that's coming to you in your email. So if you want to roll that $47 forward, you can invest it there, right? Like just look for the link and we'll give it to you in the hot seats this afternoon too. So just know that you get that $47 back towards your investment. So the last thing I want to articulate, and then I'm going to go to Rachel, is the authority loop. And this will make a lot more sense tomorrow when we get into how you build your LinkedIn funnel. But everyone who invests in the magnetic demand method this week is going to get 3 months access to the Hive, and you get instant access to Mira to start running with your content. You also are going to get a 4-hour authority loop intensive with me. And I'll talk more about this tomorrow, but you get to build a LinkedIn funnel with me live. And some of you have done this before, right? The authority loop, this is how I have built a silent sales engine. This is how I create sales daily. And this offer is only good through Friday because I have to keep the room tight so that there's room for feedback and review in 4 hours. This is not just a on-demand course. This is me and you in a room. And you walk away having built a silent sales engine, every piece connected, every piece converting in 4 hours flat, right? So this is my gift to you. If you join the magnetic demand and you invest, you get lifetime access to magnetic demand. You get lifetime access to the authority loop. You get 3 months in the Hive and 3 months to play with Mira and all the new AI experts I'm going to be building along with Mira. She's our first prototype. Okay. Now let's see. Doreen, it's coming up as 997. I'm not sure what that's about, Doreen. We do have a platinum version, so that's a really great question. If you go to checkout, there is a platinum version. So you can upgrade. And it's like an additional 497, I believe, and you can look at the fine print on that as a platinum version for just an accelerated higher proximity experience while you're going through the magnetic demand method when you check out. So I want to go to Rachel because Rachel, you are such an inspiration to the group, right? Because you came in, you did the work before Mira was available. You've never even touched her because she just came out today, right? Um, can you speak a little bit to just maybe your industry, where you came from, and talk a little bit about your results because I think it's going to be really inspiring for folks.
Thank you, Melissa. Hi, everybody. Yeah, I can't wait to use Mira, but yes, everything I've done so far is without her. So um, I came into Melissa's world because I desperately needed it. I'm not a brand marketing person by nature. So my business is, I very much sell to B2B. So I was a corporate head of recruiting. Now I have my own recruitment business and I've set that up so I actually place fractional recruiting leaders into companies on a sort of a part-time basis. So that's very much where the industry has been shifting. I saw a need in the market for that. But January, so I launched this. I started it in sort of December, putting the messaging out there. I built out my mirror messaging and everything like that. December's probably not a good month to do that because it was crickets. And I was like, oh my gosh, come January, I was having meltdowns. And then, but I was just persistent and I was just like, I know it's going to work, it's going to work, it's going to land. And then come February, boom, I just had people reaching out to me saying, I saw your post on LinkedIn. I need you. I saw you on LinkedIn. I need you. And I will say the active clients I have today, it's like a 60-40 split. 60
Mm-hmm.
were from referrals that
Mm-hmm.
saw me on LinkedIn,
Mm-hmm.
who I've worked with for like decades, and I hadn't spoken to them in decades, but they saw my visibility and reached
Yeah.
out to me. And then the other 40% are actually, I say cold, they still saw me, but I didn't have any prior connection with them. So I think it's
Yes.
important to get that data out there. Anyway, so January was like cricket. February started having conversations. In my world, it's all sales calls.
Mm-hmm.
I can only close with sales calls, so that's fine. I like doing that. And so today, and Melissa, I know the last time we spoke, I hit a $70,000 revenue month in March.
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, oh my gosh, how did that happen? I now surpassed six figures. And
Yeah.
April and May, I've now landed about $105,000 revenue for April and May, which is very exciting. I'm like, oh my gosh, how did that even happen? The key thing to note
You
though
did
is
the work.
that is lovely, but it's got to be consistent because my
Mhm.
partnerships with these corporations are for say 2-3 months, and that's
Mhm.
lovely, but then they'll roll off. So what's
Mhm.
really important is I keep the messaging and the visibility up, the email messaging as well, and the lead generation because I have to lay those clients on because it's not a permanent partnership.
Yeah.
But I'm also excited to say, so I've been targeting tech startup. That's very much sort of my needs and my expertise. Somehow a wonderful referral of mine got me into Coca-Cola. So
What?
I've just landed a 3-month partnership with Coca-Cola. I went through a month sort of their procurement process. I
Yeah.
thought they needed a blood sample. It took so long, but I landed it. I'm now in Coca-Cola. I have 2 recruiters out at Coca-Cola, and so I've got recruiters now in Canada, US, and Poland. So I'm kind of like spreading out everywhere. So to date, that's about I think I've hit about 250,000 now for since January to say I said through May. And yeah, I've just got to keep going.
I have
Listen, thank you.
goosebumps.
Thank you to you and your team. And when I came on this call earlier, I wanted to show you guys this. This is my post-it note that I keep on my desk, right? It says symptoms, desires, identity, premium lens. And it is like stuck on my desk to remind me that that is what I need to focus on, because that's also not just in my written communication, it's when I'm on the sales calls too. It
Yes.
reminded me to, really speak to those symptoms and like
Mhm.
how can I solve for that? So this is my post, this is gold. This is gold. That's on my desk.
I like it's really hard for me not to get emotional about this because like I remember when you came in. Like I remember when we were looking at your profile and trying to figure out like how we wordsmith what it is that you actually do and like just seeing the potential that you had. And I think that Rachel, this is such a phenomenal example of like attracting a premium client who shows up and does the work, right? Like you were so coachable. Um,
Yeah.
and I just, this is selfishly a self-fulfilling prophecy to like see the work in action and see it come out in you and like the impact that you're able to make. This is such good news. I had no idea. I mean, I knew that you had nailed like your first couple of contracts, but now are you seeing what's really possible?
It's just like it's mind blowing. I'm like, my
Yes.
goodness, I went from like meltdowns to now like,
I
oh my,
remember being
this
you
is
being
like,
frustrated and trying to figure it out. So can you, because this is exceptional, and I'm so excited for you. Can you talk a little bit, maybe just about like what? So you talked about applying the symptom, like following the mirror messaging formula. How do you feel about what we're doing with like bringing out this new AI agent to help you move along versus sitting in the hot seats? How do you think this is going to impact the speed at which people can maybe get to where you got to in a couple of months?
oh my gosh, I think it's absolutely incredible. And it's I already felt like I had put fuel into my business just by doing the manual work with you,
Mm-hmm.
Melissa. But it does take time. I mean, we're still use AI, right? But
Mm-hmm.
I think
Right.
having Myra as that, sort of
Mhm.
additional sort of right-hand person is just going to be
Yes.
incredible. And it's so important because obviously everything is AI. So,
Yes.
you
Well,
know,
and I love that you hit on that because even though Mira is coming out to help people with their messaging right now, I think what you hit on, I do want to underscore. And that goes back to that source code, that premium client document is in where we are in marketing in 2026. Like the more dialed in you can get with that document, it becomes your source code for whatever AI you're using. Like the output is exponentially better no matter what AI agent you're using if you build a premium client document with us. You can't build that outside of my world. It's my intellectual property, you know?
yeah, absolutely. And I'll say one thing, and this was quite a while ago, but I think I tried to cut corners and I paid for a service to do some outreach for me, and it was an absolute disaster because it was just spammy, salesy. It damaged my brand. I immediately shut it down. The
Mm.
moment, the moment I started really writing it myself from me, because
Yes.
I really understand my clients, boom, I was getting responses like that.
Yes.
It just makes it's like just do the work.
Oh my gosh. And I love
You
this
have
so
the
much.
knowledge, you just need to apply it. Just do the work.
Yes. And I think that in the first phase of the magnetic demand method, which is all of our Hive members, you guys have access to it. The magnetic demand method is phase one in the Hive. And I love that you're underscoring this. It's like, um, like perfecting understanding the psychology of your buyer, but also perfecting how your unique genius teleports and moves your clients across the finish line is what's so powerful. And where I want to go with this is where it may sound counterintuitive, but it's like this is where creating the document and getting refined in that phase one actually allows you to use AI with more precision and sound like you, like authentically you, and authentically connect. And this is how we cut through the noise of all the other AI sludge. People outside of my world don't have this intellectual property. They don't know how to hit those four areas and still come across as you, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You have to be you. It has to have your voice in it. Obviously, you can hear that I'm British as well. So I make sure that there's like really, because if I used AI in general, it won't necessarily pick up my British kind of slang and words. So I've
Mhm.
actually programmed it to make sure it really does sound like me. So if
Yes.
you get on a sales call, they're like, oh yeah, that's really you.
Yes. Well,
Because
and
I've
that,
been on sales calls with vendors who want to sell to me,
uh-huh,
and they're beautifully articulated, messaging. But then when I speak to them, they can't speak to it,
not them.
and it's
Yes.
so obvious. And then it's like, oh, I'm not
Yes.
talking to the person that I thought I was talking to, and you
Yes.
feel that way. And so I didn't go into partnership with them for that reason.
Yes, yes, I love this so much. It's the secret rocket fuel to speed, but also your unique insight. That does sound like you, and I think that that is. I'll kind of land on this. This goes back to it being your source code, right? It being that dialed in signal that is uniquely Rachel. And I think that we continue to refine, and as AI gets more and more advanced, I don't know if are you playing with Claude? Are you using Claude?
Yeah, I've used ChatGPT and Claude, so I toggle between the two for different things, but I've probably shifted a little bit more to Claude recently.
Yes, yes. So those of you who use Claude and what we're looking at is this premium client document is basically like your brand voice document that can actually even be part of a skill, right? That is folded through everything that you do so that it never forgets, right? And everything that you touch. The output is precision. So, Rachel, I am so excited for you. Thank
Thank
you so much for the updates. I can't wait. To continue to see where you head. I think you're going to have $1 million year.
I hope so. That's kind of where I'm tracking. Well, I will quickly add, I think, and Melissa, you guided me on this, a few months back. I'm actually creating a flywheel. So even though I'm B2B right now, I actually have a community for my recruiters that I'm hiring as well. And I'm actually
Mm.
training and developing them. And eventually I will be then having low, medium, and high ticket for recruiters I'm bringing into my world. So then I've got this whole flywheel. So then a combination of the two, then
Yes.
hopefully
It's
I should.
beautiful. And I think you've done the right thing by like getting dialed in and generating revenue in a book of business with the B2B and getting that running, right? And then coming back and building the second piece of the ecosystem.
Because then I've
So good.
actually got some like proof in the pudding. So they're
Yes.
like, oh, right, this actually works.
Yes. Oh my God. I can't wait. I can't wait. It's going to be continued growth for you. Well, Rachel, thank you so much for popping in and just inspiring some of our students who maybe don't know anything about our world. Anything you want to, before you sign off, really quick, anything you want to say about the Hive? Because those who invest in the magnetic demand method today through Friday night are actually going to get 3 months experience inside the Hive. Can you speak to that group coaching community or just
Yeah,
your thoughts on that?
well, I love it. I mean, there's so much in there, guys. So many great courses, and it's very, very logical. And definitely follow Melissa and Jackie what they recommend, like go through it. And what's great is you can always go back because
Mhm.
sometimes I have to go back because there's so much. I'm like, oh, did I miss something? And so it's just so great that you've got so much content there. And of course, I love seeing everybody's wins. I love that the whole spirit of community and we all support each other. It's like, yay, go
Yes.
Donna. Like I love all her pet pose. It's amazing. And just seeing everybody succeeding is great, but also people that have genuine questions and people coming in
Mhm.
to support each other. I think that's just golden. So,
Mm.
and of course, Melissa, you're just fantastic and your whole team. And so, it can be pretty lonely, right, when you start your own business. And so it's lovely to really have that sense of community and know that there is support there for you. And of
Mhm.
course, with Melissa, everything you're doing, developing all this newness. I mean, Myra, that's incredible. What a benefit to all of us. So I just say join it, do the work, because you will see the results. Because you just heard what I said. I literally went from zero to $250,000 in like 4 months. So it is so doable, but you got to just do it.
Yes, I love this so much. And you did the work, right? And you've invested in yourself. I just saw Heidi kind of mentioning in there, you came in through the Hive, and you invested in the Queen's Chamber, which will be an option for folks as they evolve and ascend, and you're really doing the work. So, thank you so much. I'll see you inside the Hive. I can't wait to drop all the goods with what we're doing with AI right now. Mira is just the beginning. For those of you in Queen's Chamber, we're looking at specific ones specific to what you're building for your funnels. So more to come on that. Thank you so much, Rachel, and we'll see you on the inside. All right, bye bye. All right, friends, I know we're running. We're kind of wrapping up here. What I wanted to do for a hot minute before we jump off Just a little bit of clarity. Hive members, Queen's Chamber members, you already have access to the magnetic demand method. So no worries. That is the magnetic demand method is the full IP inside the Hive. Phase one, phase two, phase three. That is the magnetic demand method. So you've got access to it. You have instant access. You're going to get some information about Mira this afternoon. We literally went live with it today. So you'll get instructions on that. What I wanted to show you really quick is, let me see if we can come here. I wanted to show you, does anybody want to see how she works? What I did, yes, okay. I pulled, so I pulled a random person's post. So this is Mira. And I pulled a post of someone in my feed today, and took it and gave it to Mira. And this is what I want you to see. This is what you get instantly. Now, before I show you, like, this is what blows my mind. Like, literally for a decade, we've been teaching this stuff, but never been able to just give like refined, instant feedback. It's been signing up for a hot seat, waiting for your turn, pull up your document, me look at it, give you feedback. Now, Mira says, hey, like, I'm going to look at your hook. I'm going to give you feedback on how you can actually improve it. And now I'm going to look through the lens of symptoms, desire, identity, and I am going to give you feedback exactly where you can go deeper. So, for instance, she looked at this post, and the post touches on the consequences of unexamined reactions, but could delve deeper into the emotional impact because that's what I've trained her on. But she doesn't just leave you there. She gives you exactly how you could go further with that. Because I think that most of you are like, I'm not a copywriter, Melissa. Like, I'm a genius at my business, but I'm not a freaking copywriter, right? So this is how we collapse time with your content to connect and get in front of your audience with laser precision, right? And activate them. So she's giving you suggestions on improved symptoms, suggestions on improved desire, how it shows up emotionally, even calling forward a higher level identity for ego, right? And then she even gives you a proposed rewrite. A proposed rewrite. Like, never in a million years would I have thought, the years that I built this business, that I was going to be able to just give you guys something like this that is literally, it's me in your back pocket in the middle of the night whenever you go to hit post. If you want to literally just run it through the quality lens with everything that you do, you now, Hive members, Queen's Chamber members, you don't have to wait for hot seat with me. Now, you better keep showing up to my coaching calls. If I show up and you guys are not there, and y'all are busy with Mira, I'm going to be sad. I'm going to be like, where did everybody go? But this is just phase one, right? So this is for content. I'm building one for profile, specific for profile and headline. I'm going to build one specific for the lead gen method, which we're going to talk about tomorrow. So understanding messaging and understanding premium buyer psychology is the first layer, but then it's executing with dimension in the feed that matters, right? And so we're going to be working on how you can take your content and instantly have AI help you within my community apply the lead gen method. And we'll talk about that tomorrow. Okay. Who's excited? I'm freaking excited. Scott, my mind is blown with where we're going with all this stuff. So good. Okay. So the offer's on the table. Spend $500, get lifetime access to something that's made over 15 million in client results with an instant Melissa in your pocket for the next 3 months. By the way, the Hive is $67 a month. So you get access to it for free for 3 months. You decide 3 months from now, hey, this is actually worth like 10 times its cost, which it is. You can decide to stay with us in the Hive or not, right? VIPers, I will see you this afternoon. You got an email to submit questions. I will try to go with those who submitted questions first. So check your inbox. If you've got like something specific you want me to review first, just put it in because I'll try to prioritize that. I can't wait to see you guys. And we'll be back tomorrow. Your homework. I'm not nearly as timely today. Yesterday, I was done right on time. Jackie would have not been as proud of me today. I know Amanda's like, wrap it up, Melissa.
It's going to be posted in both VIP
Okay.
and the MTS Circle community, which everybody, if you're not in there, go over there and get in there because that's where all the communication is. I know a lot of you are saying like, where am I getting the replays? Where am I getting the
Yep.
homework? You got to get into our circle community.
Yeah, and if you join us in the Hive, that's where everything is. So ultimately, you'll get used to that platform. So if you go into our community, you'll be able to submit you'll be able to see your homework. So you're going to be doing the scroll audit, you're going to be doing the mirror test, and you're going to be looking at, could this apply to anyone lens, right? And then tomorrow, we're going to talk about how we actually come to LinkedIn with dimension while also being consistent and repetitive. Does that sound like an oxymoron? I'm going to teach you how to be a category of one without boring your audience, but not giving them whiplash either, right? So we're going to talk about that tomorrow, and we're going to land on actual how we're going to tie a pretty bow in it and bring it full circle. How you take traffic in the feed all the way to the back end of your profile to the featured section, and you start booking and selling on autopilot as a funnel, leveraging just LinkedIn. Right? That's what we're going to do tomorrow. Okay. So we'll see you tomorrow, Hive community. Stay tuned for a formal announcement and training on Mira, but she's in the chat section of Circle right now if you want to go play with her. Okay. All right, friends.